Hi, and welcome to EPM Live 2013 Admin Training Course, SCA600, Admin Essentials. My name is Christina Gully, and I'll be your technical trainer for this course. This is video number 1. Create a new site collection and navigate your new site. First, I'll demonstrate how to create a new site collection. Now, the instructions for how to create a new site collection are different whether you're an online or SaaS customer or an on-premise customer. First, I'll show you for online customers. I'll log into my EPM Live environment. I'll click Sign In. Now here on the left-hand side, I see any site collections or applications that I already own, and I could navigate to one of them by selecting the link. I also have applications that I'm a member of. So maybe I've been added as a team member, for example. Now to create a new site collection, I click the Create Application button. Here we have the option for a project portfolio management tool, and I see a short description here. If I'd like more information, I can always click the More button. And here I see more information about the PPM or Project Portfolio Management template. Here I would put in my application name. For example, this could be your organization's name or an abbreviation of it. Now if I click More Options, notice that the URL populates with the text from my application name. It is recommended that you begin with a shorter URL if possible, and later you can go back in and change the name or the title of your site, but your URL will not change. So be sure about your URL when you enter it. You also have the option to select your account. If you had multiple accounts, you could choose the account you want, and then you can also add in a description here. And then you would click Create. Now your site will be created, and once it's finished, you'll be taken to the home page of your new site collection. Next, let's take a look at how on-premise customers would create a new site collection. Here I am logged into my SharePoint 2013 server, and I'm logged in as a server admin, here using the system account. Please note that you need server access in order to create a new EPM Live site collection if you're an on-premise customer. Here I'll navigate to the General Application Settings, and this entire lower section called Work Engine Administration are all of the different menus that are specific to EPM Live. And here I have the link for Create Site Collection. First, I could leave my selection for this web app, or if I wanted to change to a different web application, I could change it. But for this example, I want to use this same web application. And then I'll go ahead and put in my site title. Now this is a distinction between online and on-premise customers. Whereas online, you put in your URL and that automatically made the title the same as your URL. Here, for on-premise, within SharePoint Central Admin, I can distinguish a separate title from my URL. Next, I would select my site template or solution, for example, Portfolio Engine. That's the same as our Project Portfolio Management in the online site scenario. Here also we need to indicate who is the primary site collection administrator. For example, I might be the server admin, but I want to have Steve Masters be the site collection administrator. I enter Steve's name, and I can see he has a valid match here. Here also I could enter in the reporting database information. Now it's recommended that you have a new reporting database created for every new site collection in EPM Live. For on-premise customers, you would need to manually create that reporting database. Whereas for online customers, a reporting database is automatically created for you with your site collection. So here I have my server name, and then my database name will follow along the lines of my site name, so I know which database goes along with which site. For example, I'll do rpt underscore heart, since my site name is also heart. And then if I wanted to have the reporting database access be a SQL account, I could check that box and then put in the username here and password. If I want to leave it as a Windows account, I could leave it unchecked. And then when I'm ready, I go ahead and click OK. Now, just as before, my new site collection is getting created, and when it's finished, I'll get a link to take me to that new site collection. I've just been redirected to my newly created site collection. Now please note, you may have created your own site collection, or a site collection might have been created for you, either by signing up for a trial or by your account manager. If you've just created a new site collection, you'll immediately be prompted for the EPM Live Setup Wizard. If you're coming into your site and it's already been created for you previously, the wizard might have already been run. But after I show you how to go through the wizard, I'll also show you how to go back and find it so you could always run it again yourself to be sure that it's been completed. Now, the EPM Live Setup Wizard must be run at least once for the initial site setup for your site collection. So to begin, just click the Next button. Here we have the EPM Live reporting setup. This is for the reporting database. As I was saying, for our online customers, the reporting database is set up automatically for your site collection. If you're doing an on-premise site collection, you would have created your reporting database at the time of creating your site collection. To continue, click Next. And what this does at the time of clicking Next is it takes all of the reports in your report library and it ensures that they all are looking to this reporting database as the data source. That way, when you launch a report or when your users launch a report, they will see data from your site collection because the database has been mapped from each report to this database indicated here. So I'll go ahead and click Next. Here we have 3 services available. The first service, which is optional, is the notification service. This is a once-a-day email that goes out to all your users, letting them know what they have assigned to them and giving them a summary of what's overdue or what's upcoming. Now, the notification service can be configured later, but this is a nice way to set it off the bat to have it going at a certain time per day. For example, I might want my notification email to go each morning at 7 a.m. So users, when they log into the system, will have just received an email letting them know what they have assigned and what's due. Now, whereas the notification service is optional, the next 2 are not optional. It's very important that you have these set. The timer service is a timer that goes through and refreshes the items in the various lists that have been indicated as part of the timer settings. One of the key elements of that is it also updates all fields that are used for total rollups. So for example, I'll go ahead and pick a time that's not during my peak busy time. Since this does take up server-side resources, you want to pick a time of late night or early morning when your users typically aren't logged in. And then next we have our reporting refresh. This is a timer that goes into the reporting database and updates all of the various tables for timesheets, as well as the portfolio cost and resource tools, as well as our security data. So it's very important that this timer gets run as well. So I've set the reporting refresh at 11 p.m. for example. And then to continue, I'll click Next. Now the setup wizard is complete, but in order to completely finish it, I must click the Finish button. I have the option to be directed to another resource page with some additional configuration steps. I can leave that as yes, and then click Finished. Please note that the setup wizard may take up to a couple minutes to complete. Once you're redirected to the Getting Started page, a couple buttons up here in the header are highlighted. The Help menu, as well as the Provide Feedback menu. These are great tools for providing feedback about the product, as well as ideas, as well as getting help. For example, you can search for a topic. You can go through a number of walkthroughs that'll give you step-by-step and have you click through various actions within EPM Live. You can also link directly to the training guides for EPM Live, such as the admin guide, the end user guide, etc. I've just navigated back to the home page by selecting Home on my navigation menu. Now here along this top blue bar, I have my header. And in a minute, we'll look at how we can modify the title of our site, as well as the logo, and then even add a description. But first, let's get a little bit more familiar with how to navigate around EPM Live 2013, especially as an admin, and the types of menus and tools that are most applicable to the Site Collection Administrator. Here I go over to my Profile menu and have the option for EPM Live account settings. For those organizations who have our online SaaS accounts and you are the account manager, if you click on the account settings, you'll see the options for buying additional users, for seeing the users that you have currently, and if you're a trial account, this is also where you'd go to then purchase your user accounts. Over here along the left-hand side, we have our icon bar. This vertical bar here. The first icon is the navigation icon, where we have our navigation menu. Here's where we'll see our communities and all of the links that have been added for each community. In this example, we have one community listed called Projects. So these are all lists and libraries and pages that are relevant to project management. Let's briefly review what a community is in EPM Live. A community is a way of organizing your business or organization by various classifications. For example, disciplines, departments, or even roles. Now, what makes a community unique is the navigation links within the navigation menu. The links in the navigation menu are organized into communities to group together relevant information for that specific group. The other element that makes a community unique is the dashboard homepage. Here we see an example dashboard homepage with relevant web parts and links to content that's specific to that community. And we'll be going into looking how to configure each community's navigation quick launch. Next, we have the Create New menu. Here on the Create New menu, notice that next to List Apps and Library Apps, you see a plus sign if you're an administrator. This means you have the permissions to add apps. For general users, they'd be able to create new items such as create a new issue, create a new project, etc., but they wouldn't be able to create new apps without seeing that plus sign there. So it's a nice shortcut if you wanted to be able to create a new app. Here we have what's called the Global My Workplace community. And this is configured just like our other communities such as projects. So here within the Global My Workplace community, you can configure the different links that show for that community. Now for the Favorites icon and the Recent Items icon, these two are not configured or managed by an admin. Those are managed on a per user basis. So each user can indicate which pages or which items they want to save as a favorite. And then for each user, it also indicates the most recent apps and the most recent items they've opened. Next here we have the Workspaces icon. And in a later video within this course, we'll be looking at how to configure and enable the Workspaces settings. So here, either you as the administrator or those who you give permissions to create workspaces could come in and create a new workspace. Now this last icon here, the Settings Gear icon, is really the most relevant icon for you as a Site Collection Administrator. Here's where you have all of your various settings menus. Up here at the top, you can see we can edit the existing page. We can add in a new page. We can also add in apps, whether it's specifically list and library apps, or add an app from the EPM Live App Marketplace. We will review adding apps in another video later in this course. We also have a link here for SharePoint site settings. Now, because EPM Live is built on the SharePoint platform, you still have all of the various SharePoint settings and features available to you as well. So you can click that link and you'll see all of the various SharePoint settings available to you. Now, each of the different headings below here can be expanded to see the various settings and options that you have available to you. Here, for example, is that setup wizard. So if your site isn't a brand new site, but you want to go in and run the setup wizard to make sure that your timer is set correctly and make sure that your reports have been updated correctly, you can click this link here and it'll open up the setup wizard. But since we've already gone through and completed the setup wizard, we don't need to go through it again. Instead, we'll next go ahead and modify some of the look and feel of our new site. To do so, I'll minimize the section here and I'll expand look and feel. And here I have a link for title and logo. Here I have my site title. And again, I can go ahead and change the name of my title, but it will not change my site URL. So maybe I want to spell this out fully. And I'll go ahead and add in an optional description here. Now by default, if I leave the logo field blank, it will show the EPM Live by Upland logo, as we see up here in the top left corner. But if you want to upload your own company's logo, you can go ahead and click the link and then browse to where you have your logo saved on your computer, and it'll actually import the logo for you and save it into your site assets library. And then you could also add in an alternate description for the logo itself. For now, I'll go ahead and keep with the standard EPM Live by Upland logo, so I'll leave this blank. And then click OK. Now that that's done, I'll go ahead and navigate back to my home page. And I can see my title has now been updated, as well as this little I within a circle for information. If I click it, I now see my site's description. This concludes video number 1. Create a new site collection and navigate your new site. Thank you!